The security guard's hand was already on my father's elbow when he turned back to look at me one last time. His face, God, his face was red with humiliation, twisted with rage and disbelief. 20 years since I'd seen that face, and now here he was, being escorted out of my building, past my employees, away from my corner office with the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown Seattle. "Sophia!" he shouted, his voice cracking. "Sophia, please. I'm your father." I didn't move, didn't blink, just watched as the elevator doors slid, shut on the man who'd once told me I'd never be anything more than a disappointment. The silence that followed was delicious, but to understand why that moment felt so impossibly sweet, I need to take you back to the worst night of my life, back to when I was 18 years old, standing in the rain with nothing but a garbage bag full of clothes and the words, "You'll never amount to anything," still ringing in my ears. If you've ever been underestimated, if you've ever been told you weren't good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough, if you've ever dreamed of proving someone devastatingly wrong, then you're going to want to hear every single word of this story. Hit that like button right now, subscribe if you haven't already, and trust me when I say this is one of the most satisfying revenge stories you'll hear all year. Now let's dive in. I was never supposed to be the success story in my family. That role was reserved for my brother Ethan, golden boy Ethan, star athlete Ethan, can do no wrong, apple of dad's eye Ethan. From the time I was old enough to understand family dynamics, I knew where I stood. Ethan was 3 years older than me, and he was everything my father, Richard Morrison, had ever wanted in a child. Tall, athletic, charismatic, he played varsity football, got decent grades without really trying, and had that easy confidence that made people gravitate toward him. Me? I was the bookworm, the quiet one, the daughter who spent Friday nights studying instead of at parties, the one who preferred coding tutorials to social events. My mother had died when I was 7, a car accident that shattered our family in ways we never fully recovered from. After that, Dad threw himself into his work as a middle management insurance adjuster and into Ethan's sports. I became background noise. I remember one parent-teacher conference when I was 15. My computer science teacher, Mrs. Chen, told my father I had exceptional aptitude for programming, that I could have a real future in tech if I pursued it. Dad barely looked up from his phone. "That's nice," he'd muttered. "Ethan's got a football recruiter coming to watch him next week." Mrs. Chen had given me this look, this sad, knowing look that said I'm sorry. I'd smiled and told her it was fine, but it wasn't fine. It was never fine. The night everything changed started like any other terrible night in the Morrison household. I was 18, 3 months from high school graduation. I'd been accepted to the University of Washington with a partial scholarship for their computer science program. It wasn't a full ride, but between the scholarship, my savings from working at the library, and maybe some student loans, I could make it work. Ethan had just dropped out of his 3rd college in 2 years. He'd burned through the college fund Dad had saved, partied away 2 athletic scholarships, and come home with nothing to show for it but debt and excuses. Dad was furious, sure, but his fury had this protective edge to it, this desperate need to fix things for his golden boy. I came home that night to find them both in the living room. Dad was pacing, running his hands through his thinning hair. Ethan was sprawled on the couch, looking hungover and indifferent. "Sophia," Dad said when he saw me. His voice was sharp, clipped. "We need to talk." My stomach dropped. Nothing good ever started with those words. "Okay," I said carefully, setting my backpack down. "I need to use your college fund," he said. Not asked, need. I stared at him. "What?" "Ethan needs another chance. He's going to enroll at community college, get his grades up, and transfer somewhere better. But he needs money for tuition, for an apartment, for—" "That's my money," I interrupted, my voice rising. "I've been saving since I was 14, Dad. I have a job. That money is for my education." "Your education?" He laughed, actually laughed, this bitter, dismissive sound. "Sophia, you're going to study computers. You'll get some entry-level tech support job and be fine. Ethan has potential. He just needs the right opportunity, the right support system." My hands were shaking. I'm going to the University of Washington. I have a scholarship. I have plans. Plans change, Dad said coldly. You're 18 now, an adult. Adults make sacrifices for family. I've been making sacrifices my entire life. The words exploded out of me. Years of being overlooked, ignored, dismissed. When have you ever sacrificed anything for me? When have you ever put me first? His face went red. Don't you dare take that tone with me, young lady. I'm your father. Then act like it. I was crying now, hot, angry tears streaming down my face. Act like you give a damn about me for once. Act like I matter! The silence that followed was deafening. Then Dad's expression changed, hardened, became something cold and final. You want to know the truth, Sophia? His voice was quiet now, dangerous. You're not like your brother. You never have been. Ethan has charisma, he has drive, he has that special something. You're ordinary, forgettable. You'll never amount to anything more than mediocre, no matter how many hours you waste staring at a computer screen. Each word was a knife. Get out, he said. I couldn't breathe. What? You heard me. If you're such an adult, if you're too selfish to help your brother, then you can be an adult somewhere else. Get out of my house. Ethan hadn't said a word. He was just sitting there watching this happen, his expression blank. Dad, I tried. Now, Sophia. I don't remember packing. My body just moved on autopilot, shoving clothes into garbage bags, grabbing my laptop, my documents, my pathetic box of memories. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely grip anything. It was raining when I walked out the front door. April in Seattle, of course it was raining. Dad stood in the doorway, arms crossed, making sure I actually left. I turned back one last time. I'm your daughter, I said, my voice breaking. You're a disappointment, he replied. Then he closed the door. I stood there in the rain, 18 years old, homeless, with 3 garbage bags and nowhere to go. That was the night Sophia Morrison died, and the night Sophie Chen was born. I spent that first night in my beat-up Honda Civic, parked behind the library where I worked. I didn't cry. I couldn't. I was numb, shock wrapped around me like a blanket. When morning came, I did what I'd always done. I made a plan. I withdrew every penny from my savings account before Dad could try to access it, even though legally it was mine. I crashed on my friend Maya's couch for 2 weeks while I figured things out. I deferred my enrollment at UW by 1 semester and picked up a second job waitressing. And I changed my name. Sophia Morrison was the girl who wasn't good enough, who'd never amount to anything. Sophie Chen, my mother's maiden name, was whoever I decided to be. The anger kept me going those first few months. Anger and spite and this burning, desperate need to prove him wrong. Every time I was exhausted, every time I wanted to quit, I heard his voice. You'll never amount to anything. Watch me, I thought. Just watch me. I enrolled at UW in January. Between scholarships, loans, and working 30 hours a week, I made it work. I majored in computer science and minored in business. I slept 4 hours a night. I lived on ramen and coffee. I had exactly 0 social life. And I was brilliant. Turns out, when you have nothing to lose and everything to prove, you can accomplish extraordinary things. By my junior year, I was taking graduate-level courses. By my senior year, I had 3 internship offers from major tech companies. I graduated summa cum laude with a 3.97 GPA. But here's the thing about the tech industry in the mid-2000s. It was exploding. And I wasn't content with just being an employee. I was 25 when I co-founded my first startup with 2 classmates from UW. It was a cloud-based data analytics platform targeting mid-sized businesses. We called it Catalyst Solutions. We lived in a cramped apartment, eating pizza and writing code for 18 hours a day. We pitched to 47 investors before someone finally said yes. The first 2 years were brutal. We almost went bankrupt twice. I was the CTO, the technical backbone of the entire operation, and the pressure was crushing. But we made it. By year 3, we'd secured Series B funding. By year 5, we had 200 employees and contracts with Fortune 500 companies. By year 8, We were acquired by a larger tech conglomerate for $127 million. My share was $38 million. I was 33 years old. I invested smart. I started consulting. I sat on boards. And then, at 35, I founded my second company, Meridian Technologies. This time, I was the CEO. Meridian focused on AI-driven customer relationship management software. It was revolutionary. We grew faster than Catalyst ever had. By 38, we had offices in 6 countries. We'd gone public. Our market cap exceeded $2 billion. And I had a corner office on the 42nd floor of a Seattle high-rise with a view that stretched from the Space Needle to Mount Rainier. I'd made it. Despite everything, despite him, I'd made it. 20 years. 20 years since that night in the rain. 20 years since I'd spoken to my father or my brother. I'd hired a private investigator once, about 5 years after I left. Just to know, Dad was still working the same job, still living in the same house. Ethan was a mess. 3 failed businesses, 2 divorces, mounting debt. The golden boy had tarnished. I'd felt nothing learning that. Maybe I'd burned through all my feelings for them years ago. Then came the Tuesday that changed everything. I was in my office, reviewing quarterly projections with my CFO, when my executive assistant Rachel buzzed in. "Sophie?" Her voice was odd, strained. "There's someone here to see you. He doesn't have an appointment, but he says he's your father." My blood went cold. "Tell security to escort him out," I said automatically. "He's very insistent. He's causing a bit of a scene in the lobby. Should I? I'll handle it." I don't know why I said that. Maybe I needed to see him. Maybe I needed this closure. I rode the elevator down to the lobby, my heart pounding. And there he was, Richard Morrison. He looked old. That was my first thought. He was 63 now, his hair completely gray, his face lined and weathered. He wore an ill-fitting suit that had seen better days. He saw me and his face lit up. "Sophia." He started toward me. "Thank God, It's Sophie," I said coldly. "Sophie Chen." He stopped, confused. "What?" "No, you're Sophia Morrison. I'm the CEO of this company," I said. "And you're trespassing. What do you want?" His confusion deepened, then gave way to this sickening realization. He was looking around the lobby now, really seeing it. The Meridian Technologies logo, the expensive modern design, the employees passing by in business casual, carrying tablets and lattes. "You work here?" he stammered. "I own here," I corrected. 73% controlling interest, to be precise. "Now I'll ask again, what do you want?" He swallowed hard. I could see his mind racing, recalibrating. I need to talk to you, in private. "Please, Sophie, please." Against my better judgment, I nodded curtly and led him to a small conference room off the lobby. I didn't take him upstairs. He didn't deserve to see my empire. The moment the door closed, he started talking. "Look, I know it's been a long time, and I know things ended badly between us, but I'm in a bad situation and I need help." I crossed my arms and said nothing. "It's Ethan," he continued. "He's in serious trouble. Business debt, legal issues. He might lose his house. He's got kids now, Sophie. Your nieces. They're 4 and 6. Beautiful girls. And they might end up on the street if... How much?" I interrupted. "What? How much do you want?" He looked relieved. $50,000 would cover the immediate... $50,000, I repeated slowly. "For Ethan. He's your brother. He's family. And I know you're clearly doing well, so..." He stood there, I said quietly. "That night, when you kicked me out, he stood there and said nothing. He took my college fund. He took everything. And said nothing." Dad's face reddened. "That was a long time ago. We all make mistakes. I was under a lot of stress. You told me I'd never amount to anything," I said. Each word was precise, controlled. "You called me a disappointment. You made me homeless at 18 years old. I was angry. You were being selfish, refusing to help your brother. My brother who'd already wasted every opportunity you'd handed him? My voice was rising now. My brother, who's still wasting opportunities 20 years later? He just needs one more chance, one more... No. The word hung in the air like a thunderclap. Dad stared at me. What do you mean, no? I mean, no. No money, no help, no chances. For him or for you. But we're family. You stopped being my family the night you threw me out, I said. You made a choice that night. You chose Ethan over me. You chose cruelty over kindness. You burned that bridge, Dad. You burned it to the ground. His expression was changing now, shifting from pleading to angry. So that's it? You're so high and mighty now that you can't help your own flesh and blood? Help? I laughed, the sound harsh. Where was your help when I was sleeping in my car? Where was your help when I was working 2 jobs and going to school full-time? Where was your help when I was building this company from nothing? I didn't know you were doing all this. You disappeared. You never reached out. You kicked me out. Each word was a hammer blow. You told me I was worthless. Why would I ever reach out to you? I'm your father. You were a sperm donor who happened to raise me for 18 years, I said coldly. And not very well, if we're being honest. His face went purple with rage. You ungrateful little... Careful, I warned. You're in my building, surrounded by my employees. I can have security remove you in about 30 seconds. After everything I did for you. What? I shouted. What did you do for me? Name one thing you did for me that you didn't do out of legal obligation. Silence. He couldn't. That's what I thought, I said quietly. Now get out. Sophia, please. It's Sophie. And no, 50,000 is nothing to you. I've seen the articles. I know you're worth millions. Try hundreds of millions, I corrected. And you're right. 50,000 is nothing to me. I spend more than that on art for my home office. But it's not about the money, Dad. It's about the principle. You want me to bail out Ethan? Again? To enable his failures? Again? To teach him that there are no consequences for being a screw-up? He's your brother. He's a stranger who shares some of my DNA, I said. And frankly, I don't care if he loses his house. I don't care if he's in legal trouble. He made his choices. He's made them over and over for 20 years. And they're not my problem. Dad was shaking now, his hands clenched into fists. You're a cold-hearted bitch, you know that. I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Maybe I am, I said. Maybe that's what happens when your father tells you you'll never amount to anything and throws you out in the rain. Maybe that builds character. Maybe that builds empires. I walked to the conference room door and opened it. Security! I called out. 2 security guards appeared immediately. Professional, alert, loyal to me. Please escort this man out of the building, I said calmly. And add him to the banned list. If he tries to return, call the police. Sophia, please. Dad was begging now, actually begging. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I was wrong about you. I see that now. You're sorry you were wrong, I said. Not sorry for what you did. There's a difference. The security guards moved toward him. Please, he said one more time. I'm your father. No, I said. You're the man who once told me I'd never amount to anything. And I just wanted to thank you for that. He stared at me, confused. What? Every time I wanted to quit, every time things got hard, I heard your voice. You'll never amount to anything. And it pushed me. It drove me. It made me work harder than everyone else. Longer than everyone else. Smarter than everyone else. So really, I should be grateful. You gave me the perfect motivation. I leaned in close, my voice dropping to a whisper. I hope Ethan loses everything. I hope you both learn what it's like to have nothing, because maybe then you'll understand what you did to me. Maybe then you'll develop something resembling character or empathy, but probably not. People like you never learn. I stepped back. Get him out of here. The walk back to the elevator was the longest of my life. Every eye in the lobby was on us. My employees watching their CEO handle a security situation, watching as 2 guards escorted an old man toward the exit. Sophia! Dad's voice was getting desperate now, echoing off the marble floors. Sophia, you can't do this. I'm your father. I pressed the elevator button and waited, my back to him. Straight spine, calm exterior. Inside, my heart was racing. My hands were trembling. But I'd be damned if I let him see that. Please. His voice cracked. I'm sorry. Is that what you want to hear? I'm sorry. I was wrong about you. You're successful, you're amazing, you proved me wrong. Doesn't that count for something? The elevator dinged. The doors opened. I stepped inside and finally turned around. Our eyes met across the lobby. His were desperate, pleading, angry, humiliated. Mine were cold, empty, done. You know what the saddest part is? I called out, my voice carrying. If you'd showed up here as a father, if you'd come to apologize, to reconnect, to actually care about me and not just my money, I might have listened. I might have given you a chance, but you didn't. You came here for Ethan. Even now, even after everything, he's still more important to you than I am. The elevator doors started to close. Goodbye, Richard, I said. Using his first name felt right. Final. The last thing I saw before the doors shut completely was his face crumpling, the security guards firmly guiding him toward the exit. The elevator rose. I watched the numbers climb, 20, 25, 30, and then I laughed. It started as a chuckle, then grew into full-bodied laughter that echoed in the empty elevator. I laughed until tears streamed down my face, until my stomach hurt, until I could barely breathe. 20 years. 20 years of anger, of proving myself, of climbing and fighting and refusing to quit. And it had all led to this. To him being escorted out of my building, after begging me for money, after finally seeing what I'd become. By the time I reached the 42nd floor, I'd composed myself. Rachel looked up anxiously as I passed. "Are you okay?" she asked. I smiled. A real smile this time. "I'm perfect," I said. "Hold my calls for 30 minutes. I went into my office and closed the door, walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows and looked out at Seattle spread below me. My city, my kingdom, earned with blood and sweat and spite. I pulled out my phone and opened my notes app. Typed a single line. I amounted to everything. Then I deleted it. I didn't need to write it down. I'd proven it. The proof was all around me. In every glass and steel beam of this building, in every employee paycheck, in every innovation we'd brought to the market. My father thought he was coming here to ask a favor from his daughter. Instead, he'd gotten a demonstration in exactly how wrong he'd been. And God, did that feel good? You know what I learned from all of this? The people who doubt you, who underestimate you, who tell you that you'll never be enough. They're not fortune tellers. They're just people projecting their own limitations onto you. My father couldn't imagine success beyond his narrow view of the world, so he assumed I couldn't achieve it either. But he was wrong. And every person who's ever doubted you, they're probably wrong too. The only opinion that matters is yours. And what you believe you can become, that's exactly what you'll build. So that's my story. 20 years of proving someone devastatingly wrong. If this gave you chills, if it made you want to go out and conquer your own mountains, smash that like button right now. Drop a comment telling me, what's the most satisfying, I proved you wrong moment you've ever had? Or better yet, tell me about the person who underestimated you. I read every single comment. And if you want more stories about people who rose from the ashes and came out on top, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Until then, keep proving them wrong.